Well, hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to our last episode for the season. It is entitled Home for the Holidays. And so we know that this has been a rough year. But the good news is that we're going to end with a wonderful meal from Chef Tom. And also we see Chef Steve is here with him again today. So I am excited. I hope you got your notebook. I hope you got your pen or pencil, whatever your writing utensil is, to take a lot of notes because they have a phenomenal spread for us today. I'm excited. For those of you who don't know, Chef Tom cookbook should be hitting the bookstores, but I'll let him talk more about that. And so amazing things is happening. He also has his YouTube channel. So if you've missed any of his shows in the past, you certainly can log on to Chef Tom's YouTube channel and catch everything we've done for the last season. And so please know we will be back with you in spring of 2021. So stay tuned for that. And now it is 11:30 on the dot. So I will turn it over to Chef Tom and also Chef Steve. And so get ready, get ready, get ready. Chef Tom, you're on.
Hello, everybody. Happy holidays and welcome to Let's Get Cooking with Chef Tom. And this is our Home for the Holidays edition. Welcome, Chef Steve. How are you?
I'm doing well.
So, Chef Steve, are you in the holiday spirit?
Oh, I most certainly am.
Do you need to be in the holiday spirit a little bit more?
Sure.
Well,
Certainly.
I think it's only fair. It is the holiday spirit. So we're going to kind of change our hats a little bit today and, get into the season. So if it's okay with you, I feel better already.
Yes.
How about you? Okay. Well, before I want to make sure, Cooking with Chef Tom is starting to go nationally. Did you know that?
I did not.
Well, we actually have some guests on the call today from Tennessee, and they're family of mine. I need to do a shout out to Aunt Nancy and Riley, and I want to say thanks for tuning in. And Aunt Nancy, I hope you're feeling better. We love you. So now that I have a Santa hat on, I feel like I have to give somebody something. I mean, it's like the season. So, Chef Steve, I need you to open that up, and it's
Okay.
for you.
Okay. Got the cookbook.
That's a cookbook. Oh my goodness. Yes, it is. And look, it's the Chef's Apprentice Cookbook, and it just released last Thursday and now available in the bookstore on the bookstore website. So there we go. Little blurb on the inside, some old pictures of yours truly, and some great recipes of all the different things that we've been doing. And it's $19.95, and $5 of that $19.95 goes to the Benjamin Ollewine Fund. So there you go. It came out great. We already have exceeded half of our published sales already, and the first 100 are actually signed by me. So if you get a chance, it's a great holiday stocking stuffer, and it's for a good cause. There's Chef Steve's recipe. All right, he's got a couple of them in here. And also Diana McGurk, our baker, has a couple recipes in here. So truly is. A lot of the recipes in here are some of the house recipes we had at the Chef's Apprentice, because we know a lot of people asked about like our house dressing and our house croutons and house baked oatmeal. So all those are in here. And Chef Tom's wings are in here. And the most often requested crab cakes. I've been making crab cakes for 30 years. And that recipe is in here. So I'm going to put that over here. But so it is available, and we're very excited about it. And it was a great effort by a lot of people. The bookstore did a lot. And so I can't say thank you enough. And I'm very proud to present it. So if you get a chance, try to get one. So Chef Steve's pulling some stuff. We got some stuff coming in and out of the oven, because what we're doing today, several things need baked. So we're going to show you how we started, and then we have a couple that are finished. So we're going to actually start in reverse a little bit. We're going to make an eggnog custard pie. And so basically, you don't have to have the most fancy eggnog. You can have the store brand. But it's real simple. It's a cup of sugar, quarter cup of flour, And I'm going to mix this together just to get it blended. And then 3 eggs, which I'm going to crack in here. A little bit of vanilla, and I added just a touch of Myers rum to the vanilla because you can do that with this recipe. If you want to add a little bit of brandy or rum to it, you can do that. And then this is 2 cups of eggnog. So eggnog is very rich. There we go. Thank you. And we're just going to blend that together. Make sure our yolks are breaking up. And you don't have to use an electric mixer for this. You can. You just got to be careful. You don't want to add too much air into it. Make sure your flour and sugar is mixed before you add your next 2 ingredients. And the next 2 ingredients are my vanilla and my rum. And then this is 2 ounces of melted butter. And we're going to put that in there and blend it together. Now the melted butter is going to cool down a little bit when it hits the cold mixture, but that's okay. You just want to get it dispersed. And Chef Steve, if I can have one of those half sheet trays.
Mm-hmm.
So I can feel that it's pretty well mixed up. It's very easy. So, and this is a 9-inch thawed out pie shell. And we're just going to pour our batter into that. And this was a recipe that when we had our pie sale, we would sell it and people really liked it. It wasn't our top seller, but the people that had it liked it. And then this is just a little bit of a finishing touch. This is a microplane, and this is some fresh nutmeg, whole nutmeg, and we're just going to grate some of that over top. And then that's going to go in the oven. Goes in the oven at 350 for about 45 to 50 minutes. And you just want to keep your tray level so you don't dirty your crust. There we go. See how easy that was? That's step 1. So we want to get that done. We actually have a finished pie, but I just wanted to show you how to put it together. Our next recipe is, I want to focus, when I went through and I decided I started thinking about some of the recipes we wanted to do today, I wanted to think about things that you can make ahead. And because, you know, the holiday morning, whatever, people coming over, you don't want to be in the kitchen all morning getting things ready. You want to have some stuff ready that you can make ahead if you need to pull it out and heat it up in the microwave, whatever. And so I also started thinking about some brunch ideas and some things that would cross over between breakfast and lunch. And so, of course, quiche is a natural one. So, and because I already had bought some pie shells, I just thought it would make sense. So I don't know if you can see my pie shell here, but it's kind of, I call it docking. But what we do is we prick it with a fork so that it has a little bit of holes. And what that does is that keeps, when it gets hot in the oven, it keeps from bubbling up. So it lets some of the air escape. And then I part cook this for about 10 minutes. So this isn't completely cooked, but it's partially cooked. And one of the reasons we do that is because it's hard to get the bottom of the crust cooked or baked on a quiche. So if you part cook it, it kind of gives you a little bit of a head start. So what I have here is some broccoli that I blanched. If you noticed, I'm going red and green. So I just blanched it. They're small florets. And people might say, oh, you could cut that smaller. Well, I don't really want to cut it smaller because once you see the one that we baked and when we cut it and present it, you're going to see why, because it just looks nicer, a little bit wholer, and I don't want to have it all chopped up. And so what I do is I kind of make a layer of the broccoli. And Chef Steve, I'm going to ask you if you can crack those 3 eggs into a bowl.
Sure can.
And so that's just 3 eggs and a cup of half and half, just a standard custard recipe. So kind of a layer of broccoli here.
Chef Tom, we had a question. What kind of pie shells do you use?
Mrs. Smith's, the ones they sell at the Weiss Market. So, but you can, you know what, if you're into, and here's the other thing, I don't know if anybody has quiche pans, like the ceramic quiche pans that are little, like 10 inches, 12 inches wide, and you actually put your own dough in, because they sell already pre-rolled pie dough, and it's a Pillsbury product. You want to kind of unroll it, and I've used those at home, and they come out very nice. It's just about how much time you have. So what we have here is the broccoli, and then this is shrimp, cooked shrimp, and I'm just going to kind of layer them on top. But if you don't like shrimp, you don't have to do shrimp. You can do bacon and broccoli if that's what you want. If you're going to do that, you want to try to cook it ahead of time. You don't want to put anything raw in your quiche because you're going to make the custard, and then it's not going to be enough temperature to cook everything. So, and this is a mixture of cheddar jack and mozzarella. And I want to kind of show you the technique here for doing this. So we're going to put our cheese on top. Okay. And this was always the technique. And a couple of restaurants I worked in hotels back in the 80s and 90s, quiche was a really big thing. So I used to have a quiche of the day that we would run as a special, and people loved it. So it wasn't the same quiche every day. And it was a great way to be creative, and it was a great way to just come up with some different ideas. So here's the trick. So in the middle of your pie shell, you're just going to take your finger and you're just going to kind of push it down in there. So Chef Steve has the eggs whipped up. I'm going to add the half and half to make our custard. All right, and this is the seasoning. It's just a little bit of Old Bay. Makes sense, right? Shrimp, Old Bay. Now, if you didn't use the shrimp and you didn't want to use Old Bay, you could use, you do need salt and pepper and a little bit of hot sauce. And I like to put a little bit of, just a touch of nutmeg in too. Okay, are we good?
I think so.
All right. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for everybody. I hope you hung in there. And, you know, that's the thing about technical difficulty. And thank you to Chris, and Pete from IT. I'm glad that they were here and it wasn't Chef Steve and I in my kitchen like the early days. So I hope you hung in there, because we got a lot of stuff to show you. But, you know, this is part of life nowadays. So our next recipe, and this one actually kind of needs roasted. And it is kind of a family favorite for me. I need a peeler. I thought I had a peeler. So, but it's a butternut squash and pineapple, roasted butternut squash and pineapple. And we do it at my house, and my kids love it. And it's something that I kind of came up with. And I'm just going to show you real quick how to do a butternut squash, because everybody thinks it's a hard thing to do. And if you saw, all I did was just snip off the ends. And Steve's going to go get me my peeler. And then we're going to take the skin off. And then I'm going to cut it and then scoop out the seeds. And then when you get that final product, there we go. So real simple. You don't want to use a paring knife because it's kind of a thick skin. So you want to take a peeler if you can. Just like that. Take the skin off. Make sure you get it all off. I saved a little one here for the demo so you could kind of see how to do it. All right, just like so. And they sell like pre-made, pre-cut, peeled, and diced butternut squash in the grocery store. And it's not cheap. And really, these are not that expensive. They're not that hard to work with. And the nice thing about fresh butternut squash is they last a long time. It can almost sit on your counter for like a long time. They're a nice winter squash. And just take the skin off. You see, like I said, it's not that hard to do. You need a good sharp peeler. Don't try to do this with a paring knife because you'll cut yourself. All right, just like that. And I'm just going to cut it in half. And the other thing too is you need a sharp knife because it's very dense. So just like so. And you see the scoop at the bottom. This is just one of those ice cream scoops. And you just want to take that and take the seeds out. And it's that easy. And now you can do all kinds of stuff with this. Butternut squash makes a great soup. Butternut squash bisque. It has a little bit of a, if you've never had it, it has kind of a pumpkin-y taste. All right, but it's not as strong as pumpkin. And then the key is when you cut it up, because you're roasting it, you want to make sure that you cut it kind of in the same size pieces, just like that. So that was just an example of how to do that. So the recipe is basically, and you can use the pineapple that they sell in the grocery store, but you need fresh pineapple, not canned. And a little bit of brown sugar. Okay, and we're going to mix that in here. And this is just a little bit, a couple tablespoons of salad oil, some cinnamon, and then a little bit of salt and pepper. Always salt and pepper. I use kosher salt all the time, and then like a large grind pepper so I can see how much I'm putting in. And then if you can spray that for me, Steph. We're going to toss this together just to get it coated. And then we're going to roast it on a sheet tray. Very simple. Now you saw how long that took to put together. It was more of getting the stuff ready and having it prepped. Very simple. And when you roast things on a sheet tray like this, you want to make sure that they're not on top of each other. They need to have enough space to get color all the way around. So if you would have a heaping amount of squash and pineapples on here, you need to break it up into 2 trays because it's not going to roast real well. All right, so that just kind of coats everything. Really simple. We're going to fire that in the oven.
Chef Tom, if you have a minute, maybe now or at the end, if you could just share how you finished the quiche, because after that's the part that cut out for us, someone asked.
Oh, okay. How we finished the quiche? Basically,
Yeah.
once I put my finger down in the center to create a kind of a tunnel down to the bottom of the pie shell, I mixed my custard, which was 3 eggs, cup of half and half, tablespoon of Old Bay, and then I poured that into the center to bring it up to the sides, and then the rest of it went on the top. And then it went in the oven. It was really simple. It's not a hard thing to do. I kind of like my cheese or my quiche to have, a lot of people mix it all together and then they bake it. I like to have like a layer of cheese on top and a little custard on the bottom. And you'll see the finished product. It just kind of cooks up a little bit better. So Chef Steve has been working on this hot chocolate recipe. Why don't you tell us about it, Chef Steve?
All right, guys. So what are some of people's favorite things about the holiday? What comes to mind is peppermint and gingerbread. Well, I have a treat for you guys today. I am making a gingerbread hot chocolate. So I'm going to start with some milk. It could be 2% whole milk, whichever you prefer. Next, we're going to add some seasonings. Going to add sugar, cocoa powder, allspice, ginger, cinnamon, and nutmeg. Also going to add some molasses as well. You're going to turn that on, and you're going to want to bring that up to like a simmer. So while this is starting to heat up and mix together, I have some other stuff here. So some things that you could do with gingerbread is you could do peppermint. You could do ginger snaps because it has ginger in it. You could also do some caramel sauce, and you could also do some whipped cream. So I have some whipped cream here that I made this morning. It's very, very simple, not difficult to make. Get some heavy whipping cream and put it in a mixer with a whip attachment. And you whip it till you get stiff peaks. What that does is it creates a nice fluffy whipped cream for you. In that same process, you throw in about a tablespoon of imitation vanilla and also about a half a cup of powdered sugar. Gives you some nice flavor. So one of the things we're going to do is once this gets done is we're basically creating a gingerbread hot chocolate bar. Okay. So while that comes up to a boil, all this is just some ginger snaps that I crunched up this morning. You can put them in a bag with a rolling pin and just crumble them right there. Or if you have a food processor, you could do that as well. Either of them works just as good. Put these in a bowl. Thank you. Okay. Then also here, I did a glass that has peppermints around it, so that it gives you the opportunity to take one of the peppermint sticks and you could dip it right in your hot chocolate, and let it melt in. So we also have that as a display. Some other things that you could also use is some simple syrups. I like to use Monin a lot. I use them in hot chocolates. My girlfriend a lot uses them in her coffee. So peppermint will work just as well. If you don't have peppermint candies, you can squirt some of that in there. You could also squirt some caramel sauce in there, which would also go good with our hot chocolate today. So we're just waiting for this to come up to a boil. A lot of people don't think that you could do gingerbread in terms of a hot chocolate, because a lot of people just know it in terms of gingerbread houses. So it's something unique that I thought would be a very nice surprise to do for the holiday. Smells good already.
Chef Steve, what's the best kind of the whipping cream that you used? Is there a particular brand?
So it's a good question. You could just use regular store brand. We just used store brand, like Giant or Wise work just as well. And you want to make sure you get the heavy whipping cream. It'll whip up a lot nicer for you.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome. Get some nice aromas going here with the ginger and all the other spices that you're mixing in. Next thing we're going to add is about 1 cup of chocolate chips. It'll make it nice and creamy and nice and smooth. Just about there.
Marshmallows.
Marshmallows.
What do you need?
Marshmallows. What I have down here. Something else you could do on top of your whipped cream then, once we have it finished, you could drizzle some nice caramel sauce right on top of it. as a nice garnish. Now we're getting our hot chips hot enough. Just gonna mix them in there. You're gonna want to make sure it's all incorporated. So you're gonna want to make sure your mixture is nice and hot, so that you can melt your chocolate chips in there. You want to do them in little batches. You don't want to throw them in all at once, because it'll give it a nice smooth texture, and it'll let each of them melt before each time you incorporate them.
What kind of chocolate chips do you use? Like the sweet, semi-sweet?
So we're using semi-sweet today. Semi-sweet's probably the best one that you could use. It'll give you a nice balance. It won't be real rich. It'll give you a nice creamy feeling, but it won't be too strong.
Awesome.
Got some good aromas going here. Thank you, Chef. Okay, I'm just gonna add just a little bit more chocolate chips. I got about 1.25 cups here. Just gonna throw a little bit more in. Whisk that together. What do you guys think out there? Smell good? All right. Once it's all incorporated, smaller ladle. Now you don't want to fill it quite all the way up to the top, because it'll still give you plenty of room to add any of your toppings you want to add in or anything like that. Me personally, I like to add some whipped cream on top of mine. Do a little bit of the ginger snaps. And there you go. Gingerbread hot chocolate.
Wow, you guys should smell how good that smells. It just smells amazing. Looks great. Great job, Chef Steve. All righty. Okay, so we got our stuff in the oven, and our other products are almost ready to show, but our next recipe is actually a recipe way from my past, a long time ago. Where's my skillet that I had here?
Set it off to the side right over there.
Okay. And it's called Bloody Mary crepes. And crepe batter is traditional crepe batter, or French pancake batter, is 1 egg, 1 cup of milk, 1 cup of flour. What makes this a little bit different is we did some tomato juice in with the milk. And I know what you're thinking. Oh my goodness. But yeah, but you know, see, crepe is a very neutral, French pancake, it's very neutral. It doesn't have a lot of flavor. It's really a vessel to fill. So if you put something else in it to give it a little more flavor, and then I also put in, I actually doubled this recipe, and I put in a tablespoon of smoked paprika. So we have a little bit of a smoke flavor going on. And then the filling, I'm going to have Chef Steve build here, kind of on the side, is cream cheese. Sorry, don't mean to make a lot of noise. You know, I get noisy in the kitchen. So 8 ounces of cream cheese. He's going to kind of mix that up. We kind of let it temper so you can work with it. And then this is a cup of sour cream. And this is 3/4 of a pound.
Mhm.
3/4 of a pound of diced chicken meat. I don't know if you can see this. So they sell this at Giant. And what they do is it's rotisserie chicken meat. That's the breast meat. It's already cooked and you don't have to mess with it. But this is much better than a canned product or a frozen product. It's fresh roasted chicken meat. All right. So, and then they sell it in large pieces because they pull the meat. So all we did was coarsely chop it, and we're going to mix it up. And then we have a little bit of onion here and a little bit of dill and a little bit of hot sauce. So I'm going to show you. Where's my ladle? How to do messy chefy. There we go. My staff loves to follow me in the kitchen, let me tell you.
2 ounce ladle.
Along with my wife. It's always a big hit. She'll just usually say, I got it. But I am, you know what, it's about passion. So anyway, so I have this all mixed up. And this is a batter that if you can make it at least an hour ahead of time so that it kind of all blends together so the flour is nice and smooth. So chef. And crepes are not hard to make. And basically, you use a non-stick skillet, and this is a 2 ounce ladle. And basically, you spin your pan very much like that. Okay, just like that. And we're just going to let it, and then as it starts to cook, you'll see it'll start to get some little tiny bubbles going on. And it doesn't take much to cook it. And I kind of like to use my fingers and then just flip it. And that's it. That's not hard at all. But, you know, I've been doing a lot of them. I had to do this for like several hundred people one time. And there you go. 1 tomato crepe ready to go. So once your pan gets hot, you want to cut your temperature back because too hot is not good. But perfectly a 2 ounce ladle, spin it, kind of just roll with the wrist like so. You want to make sure there's no holes. Okay, put it back on the burner. Takes a little bit of time, but you know what? You're not going to buy this in the grocery store. You kind of have to make it. But as you see, when the batter starts to cook, it loses its shine. And it doesn't take long. If you got to have a good pan. That's the trick. All right, there we go. And you should be able to spin it just like that when it's done. All right, thank you. All right, so there's another one. We're going to do 4 of these. I'm just going to show you how to put them together. And what's kind of nice about this recipe is you can make your crepes ahead of time. You just make sure that when you put them in the refrigerator that you put like some type of parchment or wax paper in between them. Don't stack them together and put them in there and expect to get them apart the next day because it's not going to work. And you can make your filling ahead of time. And then all you have to do is put a little bit of filling, roll it, and you can bake these in the oven or you can microwave them. You know, if that's what you want to do. If you don't want to mess with the oven and you just want, because everything's cooked. All right, there again. All right, so the pan temperature is just about right. I'm just going to turn it down one more notch. All right, and as soon as there you go. As soon as it's cooked, you can see it's spinning. It's ready to go. Okay, we're going to do one more. Now this is nice because I have an induction burner. If you would do this over a gas stove, you want to make sure you remove your pan when you're spraying your spray. You don't do that over top of the burner or you're going to have a fire right in front of your face. Okay, so real quick. I mean, it's taken what, 10, 15 seconds?
Yep.
All right. And just because I made the batter ahead of time, I let it set up for about an hour. And there we go. And I should be able to take this and peel it and flip it myself. Now, if you didn't have gloves in your kitchen, you could use a spatula. That would work. All right, but there we go. All right, I touched the batter a little bit there. We're going to just do a couple more just so I know you get it, and then we're going to fill them. 2-ounce ladle. Spin your pan. Just kind of a turn of a wrist, just like that. And back on the heat. And now if you see there's two, there's a show side. So it's the side that you cook that's a little browner, and then there's a side that you fill with. So you want to make sure that you do that. Don't fill the show side and then show the kind of weird looking side. It's not going to look as nice. All right, yeah, once it starts to cook up, it should move around the pan. Look how quickly it spins. All right. I'm going to do one more just for good measure because we can. All right. One ladle, flick of the wrist. And I know somebody at home's going, I don't think I could do that. Trust me, you could do it. After you get past the first 2 or 3, you're going to go, this isn't that hard. He was right. All right, Chef, I'll put that over there. It'll start loosening. If you have a good pan, it'll start loosening up on its own. All right, I need something to dispense that, like a spoon or something like that. All right, very good. There we go. We'll turn that off, and I'm just going to show you how quick and easy it is to fill these. And now remember, all this is cooked. So we want to put enough in here, and you kind of want to put it in like almost like a cigar type shape so that you're not pressing your luck. But the filling is, again, what's in the filling there, Chef Steve?
So the filling has cream cheese, sour cream, 3/4 of a pound of chicken, dill, onion, and hot sauce.
Okay. Okay, and as they cool down, they just get that much easier to work with. Now, most people think of crepes as kind of a dessert, but crepes can be savory, just like this. All right. And we're just going to do one of those, and we're going to do one more for our plate presentation. Again, that's your show side, that's your stuffing side. And if you didn't want to put these in the microwave, you could put them on like a small tray and then just bake them for like 15 minutes. But once they get warm, they get a little more difficult to handle. So you don't want to handle them any more than you have to. All right, so then we're going to use that as our presentation plate. And then we would naturally mix just a little bit of cheese on top, just like that. So we were going to melt that, be ready to go. That would be your finished plate. It's a great item for brunch, unusual, something that you don't get just anywhere. Okay. All right. I'm going to pull out a couple of our baked items to show you what they look like so that we can do a couple presentations. So this is our quiche. don't know if that's going to work. We'll see. So we have kind of a shrimp and broccoli thing going on. There we go. And then our pie. This is the eggnog custard pie. Now, if you wanted to, because I really wanted to badly this morning, I wanted to make a change to this recipe and try something unusual. I think you could, if you're not crazy about eggnog, I think you could back off on the eggnog by about 30% and add and replace it with canned pumpkin and kind of have a pumpkin eggnog custard going on. If it would be something that I think that's kind of has that flexibility. All right, we got an eggnog custard. And we have 2 more recipes to go. Chef Steve, can you check on the squash, please?
Yes.
Okay, lost a little bit of my crust there. It's better if you have a little bit more time to set it up. We have 2 more recipes to do. The last one is, that's just about ready. Chef Steve's going to show you how to make an apple strudel. We do strudels here at the restaurant, and we a lot of times do savory strudels. Ah, that looks good. Okay. Our squash and our pineapple are ready too. Look at that. Doesn't that look beautiful?
Sure does.
Okay. And you can smell it. And there's not a lot of, it's almost like it's candied a little bit, but the pineapple and the browns, it's a combination that's just outstanding. All right. So Chef Steve, if you want to get your stuff ready for your strudel.
Sure can.
Great brunch dish, great make ahead. And you see it's not, I didn't put a lot of oil in it. So, and because I used my own butternut squash, I peeled it, I diced it up myself. The stuff that's pre-bought in the store that you buy starts to put off a little bit of liquid. And then what happens is you get a lot of liquid on your pan. When you get a lot of liquid on your pan, you're not really roasting. You really start to steam it. So using it cut up fresh right away, it doesn't have a chance to bleed out, but boy, that just smells delicious. Okay. So we're going to use puff pastry. Puff pastry is a laminated dough. I don't know if you know what a laminated dough means. It's been folded over several times, and they take butter and they put it in, and it gives you layers, real flaky layers. And you can buy this in the grocery store. This is what it looks like, puff pastry sheets. Okay, very simple. All right, and you get 2 sheets to 1 box. And so there's a couple tricks to working with puff pastry. It's not something you let sit out for 3 hours and then decide to go work with it. It needs to stay cold, but it needs to be tempered too in order to work with it. So if you know you're gonna make strudel, or you're gonna do something with puff pastry, you want to pull it out and let it sit for maybe like 10-15 minutes till it starts to warm up just a little bit. Now this is the typical size sheet that you get, okay? And that's not quite big enough for what we want to do. So we're gonna roll it out a little bit. So Chef Steve's going to flour this, okay? He's going to take the rolling pin, he's going to stretch it out, and it's okay. And by stretching it out, you kind of get a little bit more of a uniformity, and you take some of those wrinkles out of what comes with how it comes packaged. And then what we have is fresh apples. All right. Now you see Chef Steve is using a small cutting board. It's kind of as a guide for size on how to go make how big he wants to make it. He doesn't want to go past that because that's kind of too big.
Okay.
All right, so our filling is fresh apples. And we had one of those gizmos in the kitchen where you kind of peel it and it takes the skin off and slices it up. They're about $19.99. Well, you know what? If you ever do any kind of baking, it's the biggest time saver that you can absolutely have. So he's going to egg wash the side, the right side, the top side, and the left side. And then this is our filling. It's fresh apples, brown sugar, cinnamon, a little bit of flour, and craisins. Everybody knows what a craisin is. It's a dried cranberry. And I put a little bit of flour in it because as the apples bake, they put off juice. Okay, and we're trying to encase our apples inside a dough. So if we don't have that little tiny bit of flour in there, and it kind of pulls all the apple juice together and makes kind of a sauce in the middle, and then he's just going to pick that up and fold it over, and almost like you're making a burrito.
Chef Tom, what kind of apples do you guys like to use?
So you can use, there's a lot of different, it depends on what your preference is. I like Golden Delicious personally, is one of my favorites to bake with. Honeycrisp is good. A lot of people like Granny Smith because they're tart and then they can control how much sugar. It really depends on you. You just want to make sure you have a good baking apple. I saw what Chef Steve did here. He rolled it. And we're just going to take a fork and crimp the edge. And that kind of seals it. And then we're going to trim it and clean it up. But it's really easy to make. And we do the same technique for savory strudels. We'll take our pulled turkey barbecue and make a pulled turkey barbecue strudel and add some cheddar cheese in there. And it comes out really good, and people love it. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do with it. When I was the Holy Spirit, we used to do a vegetable strudel. We would roast some vegetables and put a little bit of marinara and some feta cheese in there and do the same thing, same technique. Now, what he's cutting in there are actually vents, because in order for the steam to escape, you need some type of vent. And then he's going to egg wash the top. And then we're going to make it look Christmassy. There you go, Chef.
Thank you.
The hardest part of this is picking it up and putting it on the tray. And if you're not comfortable with it, you can actually take 2 spatulas and come in from side by side to do it. But once you make 2 or 3 or 4 of them, after a while, you say, hey, this is actually pretty easy. So a little bit of sanding sugar, everybody kind of has that at Christmas time. So we'll just do a little bit of, if you don't, like during normal non-holiday things, I usually just use raw sugar on top of my strudels. Aha, looks beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to put this in the oven. Looks like our pie is ready. Now this probably went a little bit too far because we were kind of doing a lot of things, but so it kind of puffed a little bit too much, but you will get some air in there because of the eggnog. And our quiche is getting close. We're not quite there yet. Almost. I'm going to pull it out and then the last recipe we're doing today is a warm potato salad. So you know you have all these egg dishes and you got squash, and so you kind of need, everybody likes to have home fries for breakfast. Well, this is kind of a different way to have home fries, and basically all I did was take some Redskins here and I cut up some onions, a little bit of oil, salt, pepper, and I roasted them. So I did not refrigerate them. Okay, they are still slightly warm. It's kind of the way you want to serve it. And we're going to take a bowl. And we're going to put that together just like that because I want something I can toss it. I need to get all the kind of the good stuff off the bottom of the tray because that kind of gives it flavor too. Now you see there's a little bit of oil in there. And this is just basically a basic vinaigrette, 3 parts oil, 1 part vinegar. I'm going to put a little dried parsley in. If I had fresh parsley, I would put that in. This is a little bit of honey and a little bit of Dijon. Thanks. And this comes together very quickly. Again, this is something that you can do the day before, put it in a jar, and then shake it up when you're ready for it. And then you're going to put it over top of your potatoes. We're going to mix it. Thank you. All right. To get a temporary emulsion, and that's what a vinaigrette is. It means it's not permanent, it's just temporary, but everything emulsifies together. If you get it mixed just right, that's about what it should look like. And we're going to just dress it and then toss it. Chef Steve's going to toss it. And then he's going to plate it up on this plate right here. All right, through the magic of television, we have the strudels almost done. It's all ready. How did that happen so fast? So we're going to set this up, and I'm going to show you a good way to cut it and present it. And this has been out of the oven 40 minutes, 50 minutes. So you can see I can pick it up and hold it. All right. Sorry about it.
You're good.
Good thing is to have is a serrated knife that I had here a minute ago. There it is. Okay. And you can do it a couple different ways. You can cut it straight on. If you want it to look a little bigger, you can cut it at an angle. Probably the ends are not going to have a lot of filling in. So you're going to just trim that off. And there we go. A nice apple strudel. And you can make this, I don't suggest, if you can make it, get it ready and make it in the morning and bake it in the morning and then pull it and then cut it, it'll be the best product. But you can cut it, you can make it the day before and cut it. But you want to get a nice presentation. This is great with vanilla ice cream or caramel sauce.
The biggest thing is if you make it the day before to make sure it's covered.
Yeah, when I make it the day before, what I do is I just take the whole thing and I wrap it in plastic. And I don't refrigerate it. Because it's cooked, it's similar to like a pie, so it's okay. It's not going to hurt anything if it's, pies can sit out. It's okay. They're all cooked. Lots of sugar. Anything high in sugar and high in acid. This is the last thing we're presenting. I want to thank everybody. If you started at the beginning and you went through the technical difficulty, I can't thank you enough for hanging in there. This is our last presentation, Christmas apple strudel. We have our warm potato salad, our roasted butternut squash and pineapple, our hot chocolate bar, our Bloody Mary crepes, eggnog custard pie, and shrimp and broccoli quiche. Does anybody have any questions for the chefs today?
Chef Tom and Chef Steve, thank you so much. Those look really good. And I really want to try and make that hot chocolate. At least that's first on my list, I know. And you're getting some comments in the chat throughout how much everybody enjoyed it. And also that some people have already been trying recipes from your cookbook and how good they've been too.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you very much. Yep. So yes, that would be awesome. And I'm sure somebody from the bookstore probably shared the link to the cookbook. So you want to get them. You want to get the first printing as autographed. But thank you very much. We've had a wonderful time. We had a wonderful semester presenting things to you. And Chef Steve, I was only kidding about giving you the cookbook as a gift, but you get to keep the hat. I'm just
Sounds good.
so. But thank you very much, and I want to thank IT and Cindy and Rachel for all the help you've had this season. Thank you very much.
Definitely. And Chef Tom, you had a comment. Thanks, Uncle Tom, from Riley Jane Cook. So
Oh, hi, Rye.
enjoyed it. But if no one has any questions, and thank you to Dave for posting that in the bookstore or the bookstore link in the chat. I just want to thank both of you again so much. This was an awesome presentation. And just so everyone knows, this is one of our last events of the semester, but starting back next semester, we'll be bringing back more events from student involvement. So you'll want to check that out on the HAC student events calendar. But thank you all so much, everyone, for coming. And thank you again, Chef Tom, Chef Steve, and your awesome IT team.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Have a good day, everyone.